Hey everyone, I'm Casey Love and this is Casey Love Monsters. Today we're going to teach you how to Today I'm going to teach you how to paint the Zombie Tor latex mask by the almighty Death Studios. There's lots to cover, so let's get to slinging some paint. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is base coat the mask. We're going to use a glue, and Prozate is a glue that is used in the makeup effects industry to glue appliances to people's faces. You know, when they make them move and stuff like that. Anyways, we're going to mix acrylic into. You can mix acrylic into any Prozate or Prozate into acrylic or blah, 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 whatever you want. Just mix the Prozate into the damn acrylic. All you got to do is mix them together. Make a base coat color and brush it on, which you're going to see me do right now. Now, I don't do a lot of ratios when I mix the glue, but I generally stick to a 70-30 ratio. So you want about 70% glue in your cup and then about 30% paint, acrylic paint. You can mix any acrylic you want into that glue and it'll make it nice and flexible and very sticky. So make sure you do not touch it too much or you're going to stick your fingers together. It's actually not that sticky, but it's pretty annoying. Now basically I just keep working this over top of the mask until I have the whole thing covered and with this sticky horse snot glue stuff mixed into the acrylic that we're using. Okay, and then once I'm done with that, well, I'm not done yet, but I'm still going, and once I get done with that, then I'm going to look at the mask and see if it needs another layer of glue. Well, another layer of base and glue. You know what I mean. Just keep brushing this stuff on until you cover the whole mask, and then once you have it covered, you can sit back and don't touch it. Just look at it. You cannot touch it, it'll be so sticky. But that's a good thing because that'll make the next layers of paint stick to it very well, and that is what you want. So trust me on this, just go for it. Now that we've base coated the mask, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up what's called a rub out or a wash off, whatever you want to call it. Basically, I'm going to mix up a very thin paint using 70% alcohol and acrylic paint, and then I'm going to make it super, super thin like Mommy's Kool-Aid. If you don't know what Mommy's Kool-Aid is, it's Kool-Aid without the sugar in it, baby. You know what I'm talking about. It's gross. You don't want to taste it. Yuck. Don't drink this paint, by the way. It's acrylic, it's gross, it won't taste right, it's got alcohol in it, not good for you. Anyway, we're gonna mix this up, we're gonna spray it on, and then we're gonna take alcohol, 91%, even stronger alcohol, with a sponge, one of those round orange sponge things, and we're gonna wipe it all off. That's after the paint fully dries first on the layer. You'll see what I'm gonna do, just follow me, okay? Okay, so here we are. Now, notice I'm using an air paint, and I tend to like to use paints that can thin very well or easily, and you do not want to use thick paints for this because you will have a huge mess on your hands when you try to thin them with alcohol and water. Now, you can use some water to thin them down first, which is a good idea, but if you're using very thin airbrushable paint, then you probably don't need to do this, and you can just thin straight away with 70% alcohol. Do not try to thin it with 91% alcohol. That will just cause a giant icky mess in your cup. So I thinned this out really thin with 70% alcohol, and you know, I'm spraying it all over the mask. This is a little weird because it looks like I'm basically bringing the mask right back to where it was before we base coated it. I realize that that's probably very confusing to everybody, but I'm actually spraying a color on here. You can see my airbrush there, and it's very close to the original mask color. So just follow along, spray this on, and you can use any color you want. If you want your color to be a reddish tone, a brownish tone, a purpley brown, whatever you want, whatever the color is for the character you're painting, just know that this is going to be in the crevices and all the cracks and detail of your character. That's the goal. Now I'm taking a sponge with 91% alcohol in there, something that's a little more aggressive, and I squeegee that out in a little tub and soak it, squeegee it out, and then just rub off the paint very gently on the mask. What happens is all the paint stays in the crevices and the details, and then the paint comes off very easily where you don't want it. All the high points, basically. So you're leaving all the paint in the low points, all the details and cracks, and while you're doing that, you're taking off all the high points, revealing your base coat that you had before. So very easy to do. You want to do this when the paint has been dried on there for a little while. You don't want to do this wet, otherwise you'll just have a big sloppy mess on your hands, and that's just not the way you do it. So just do it how I'm telling you to do it. All right. Okay, moving on. We're going to take LIQUITEX Ink Muted Gray. This is a super thin paint, and I add a little bit of 92% alcohol just to slightly thin it. And what I'm going to do is go around and sort of paint low points in the mask, the deep areas, you know, the skull, bring out the skull structure a little bit. I will also start to eventually add some veining to this, but for now I just do a light shading here and there, anywhere that I think could use a little bit of pushing as far as undertones. So think about the skull, the human skull, and some of the undertones coming through underneath that skin. These will be the deepest areas, and just make sure you do not overdo this step. This needs to be very subtle, very light. As you can see, you can almost barely see it going on the mask. So be very, very subtle with this step, and you'll look great. It should look great, hopefully. Okay, now taking the same muted gray color, LIQUITEX, I'm thinning it a little less, and now what I do is I spray veins and model veins all over the mask, giving it this very creepy undertone layer of veins over the entire mask. This is going to help later down the road as we build layer upon layer to give it a very realistic look and a very diseased, gross, dead look to the character. So definitely check out how I'm doing this. Follow along. Again, do not make these veins stand out too much. You don't want them to be overbearing. You want them to look like they live underneath all that skin.
Monsters in mind, pull out the clay, unwind, shape it up, make it weird and cool, break it down, smooth it out, follow the rules, add some veins and horns, wrinkles and scars, texture so deep, they're like battle scars, now step back, this piece looks sick, Casey Love Monsters gonna make a rip, Tasty Love Monsters, from nightmare to sculpture, Tasty Love Monsters, born straight from the closure.
Next, we're going to take some illustration color. Illustration colors are colors used for makeup artists, for makeups. These are great because they already come super, super thin, and they accept alcohol very well. You do not need to add water at all. So I'm using some alcohol, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over all my veins a little bit here and there. Not completely over every vein, but just here and there to give it a little bit of that vein tone that's going to kind of shift the purple color just a hair.
I'm a gold, shiny mouth, crazy eyes. This freaky beast will mesmerize. Show your crew, let them see the monster you made from your fantasy. Tasty Love Monsters, latex painted under tiny Tasty Love Monsters.
This really helps add depth and life and or deadness to your mask as you get towards the later layers. So check it out. Okay, we're going to use one of the most famous colors out of the illustration line. That is capillary. Of course, this color is a great color. How could it not be? It's great for veins and all kinds of sorts of things. As you see me there, I'm thinning with 92% alcohol just to thin it down a little bit. This is a pretty concentrated paint. When you're using illustration colors, make sure you shake that bottle up because there's a bunch of paint all at the bottom of that just trapped as they sit around. They tend to separate quite a bit, but they are easy to get back into solution. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is go in and paint some warm tones here. and add a little warmth to this bad boy. Make sure he's, you know, start to bring him to life or death, whichever you prefer. But here we go. Sit back, watch. Okay, now what I've done is I've thinned out a brown acrylic paint and I've made it super thin, incredibly thin. Again, like mommy's Kool-Aid thin. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to take this into a different airbrush. I'm using my Pache H airbrush now. You'll see that. It has an extension on the cup. And I also have my GMAC valve, which is a special valve that I use to connect to the airbrush and the hose, where I can control how much air pressure is coming through the airbrush. This is very helpful if you're going to do spattering, and that is what I'm doing right now. I'm spattering the crap out of this, including spattering the crap out of the wall in the background and spattering everything. It's getting everywhere. Anyway, this is a spatter technique. Obviously, a lot of dots flying everywhere, and yes, it got all over my window. Hey guys, if you, well, hey, yo, hey, yo, crazy chihuahua, hey, yo, that was my nose, bro, sure, oh my god. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell, and check out video number 2 right there. And if you want to follow me and get more exclusive content, check me out on Patreon at Casey Love Monsters. See you in the next video.